these carburetors. These are 2 of 3. They came off the older 90 horse Johnson outboard. And I also kept off of that motor before I sent it to the scrap. It was the CDI ignition system. It's got a good high-powered ignition on it, big 2-stroke outboard. So I have that out there in my little tent garage at the moment. I have a 96 Moto Guzzi V1100 California. And I've had it for years and years. It was left at my shop a long time ago. And, okay, so, the guy who brought it in, he had, an RD350 and the Moto Guzzi. And the Moto Guzzi had unknown electrical issue of some sort with the fuel injection stopped working. And he asked me to get the RD going first, and so I got the RD done, and he moved away. He was from the East Coast. I think he moved back to the East Coast, and his contact information wasn't good anymore. So I ended up with the bike, the Moto Guzzi, and it's been just stored for over 10 years now, or about 10 years. And so I finally went and got it, and I looked it up, the parts for it, and I don't have the money to get the parts to put it back to stock. But mechanically it's all good. It was just the fuel injection wasn't working. I pulled the fuel injection off, and I was going to put carburetors on it a long time ago. But when I disconnected the fuel injection, the spark went away. And it's a wiring nightmare in a Moto Guzzi, the newer ones like that. The old ones are simple as can be. And that new one with fuel injection and all the goodies and bells and whistles, it's ridiculous. It's expensive and it's complicated. So thinking about it, I thought, well, I'm not into this thing any particular dollar-wise, and I don't really have the money to buy the correct parts to try and get it back to stock all working again. But I happen to know it's mechanically good. And it's a 180 opposed motor, so really it fires like a single cylinder. It just, when it's firing, one is on compression, the other one's on its exhaust, so it doesn't matter that it fires it. And so you just need it to, spark. The CDI ignition from the Johnson outboard has tremendous spark. Tremendous. I made Jacob's ladder. My Jacob's ladder, last videos I had for a couple of years ago, were with that CDI unit as the power source. So I put the CDI on the bike already, and I have spark, and it's timed. I gave it a little squirt of starting fluid in each of the intake manifolds, and hit the wire, and it goes, and then used up the little bit of starting fluid that was in there. With no carburetors on it either, but it just had enough to fire, and I could tell by the way it fired, it was pretty close to timed. It was boom, it would have ran if there was fuel steadily there. So I'm going to eliminate the nightmare of hoses and sensors and wires and tubes and you name it. There's a lot of stuff. There's more emissions and whatever it all is. This Moto Guzzi's got more wires under the tank and around the frame and across the motor and sensors all over it than I've ever seen on a bike, at least unless it's brand new or something. But for a 96, it's still rather excessive. Even if I had the right parts, I would put it together if I had them, but it's a pain. It's going to be a lot nicer with carburetors and a Johnson ignition. The Johnson ignition is not going to fail, so I'm not even worried about that, although I don't have a mechanical advance, but I'm thinking about a design for that already. I'm just running my trigger off of the front of the motor where the alternator is. So this is my carburetors. So I need carburetors on there. I figured out these are the manifolds that came off of the Guzzi, and this let's see here, yeah. onto this side goes onto the manifold. I'm not sure which way that goes now. Well, they're both within range. I got to looking at these carburetors, and at first I wanted to make get some plate, that goes across there and make some little manifolds for it to bolt together. But since I started thinking, this is a really custom kind of thing anyway, and I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. And I saw how round that was, so I figured, why don't I just cut the tabs off and then take it to the grinding wheel, and I will clean up that outer edge until it's nice and round, and will seal into the seal just fine. And then these will just seal. The seals will clamp them onto the manifold. And then I just have to, sync them. There's 2 cables even on the Guzzi. They come up. The fuel injection had a cable going to each one. So my cables are right there for my throttle. Yeah, and it's going to run. I mean, it has tremendous compression too. It's in really good mechanical shape. It has 23,000 miles on it. So I'm kind of excited about that. And this is I'm trying to put some video pieces together so I can make a video on it. Piece it together with a bunch of clips. So that's what I'm doing right now, and I'll be back. I'm going to cut that other tab off and grind these things down. Get that one, and keep it at that angle. More cowbell. I got in the ride, put me in a haze. Sweet, sweet Johnny, to her right. She had the whole show, and that's not so fast. Up all night, with Freddie Kane. I kept the judge off focus his thing. Booze, ladies, keep me right. As long as we can make it to the show tonight. Here's what I ended up with. Here was the one of the carburetors of the 3 from the 90 horse Johnson. I had to take the little adjuster off of the choke arm here, so I could put them on the throttle sides of these 2. So for comparison, there's cut the tabs off. Probably could round that a little better. It's got kind of shy right there, which I probably will. But what I came up with for the throttle stops, these came off of the choke side, so they could be for the throttle. These came off of the distributor from the same 90 horse Johnson, which is actually right here. These little aluminum blocks were connected to these things that held the distributor cap on. But I pulled them apart, and they were threaded, or they're threaded through there already, and I threaded this hole as well, so I just had a pin before. So they could bolt into place. Now my idea is that, where am I at there? Okay, my idea is that my clamp will be on here, and I'll be able to come off of the clamp, actually, with something for this screw to go against for setting the idle. That way, they're nice and synced properly. And then it's about the cable, but the way the cable pulls, I think it's going to split the difference just all by itself, the way it looks. It seems like it's pretty close. So yeah, that's what I ended up with. Oh, and these off of the bicycle parts. I might change this around a little bit over time, because I got to put air filters on there somehow. But for now, that will work. Cable comes up. I should just remake this video because it sucks.
So yeah, it's just hung up on the wall like a Christmas
Wrong thing.
stocking. I think these two are not twins, but one's looking bigger than the other. But they don't look shopping cart. And
Oh, there's a fly in here.
This is no
I'm gonna get him.
Little
bastard.
And show up, the very happy life with each.
A little more round now. My carburetors for the Moto Guzzi. They started out like this one. This is number 3 of them. I had to cut the tabs off so that it would be round, so it would fit into the intake on the motorcycle's intake boots. And then I needed something to hook the cables to and a cable stop. And it took me a while to come up with something, but I finally, I noticed that on the choke side of these, these were on there. So I swapped these from the choke over to here so they can be the throttle. But I also needed a stopping point, because that's closed all the way right now, and it's going to need to be open just a shade for idling and then balancing the carburetors. And after a lot of searching through, hardware and bolts and different things, I came across the old distributor from the 90 horse Johnson. And it happened to have, these things on there, these little aluminum blocks that were, I don't have it right here. I thought I did. These connected to these little metal clips that, clipped under here. So I just pulled those pins out. Took these off. I had to thread them through where the pin used to go and then bolt them on. And they also serve as the throttle stop too. So when I put the carburetor on, the boot's going to be here. I'll have to figure out what this is going to, thread against in order to set the idle. But that's not that difficult, I don't think. I could take a tab off of the clamp itself if I had to. But that looks pretty decent too. And my cable end here for the cable to hook into. These are off of a bicycle shifter, and I've got a bicycle shifter cables. So the whole setup there is kind of fabbed together out of obtainium. So right now, I need to do some of this right here. I get that as round as I can get it. That's why I just ran the marker around it. It's hand machining though, so that's what I'm gonna do right now. Oh, that's bright.